Going live from the My Boat Tree page. Super excited about saying hello to you guys every alternate day if possible. My Boat Tree is a fantastic space for really interesting events and workshops. We just had a fun session with the dancer Anshul and showed you some steps, so go and check out the IGTV live. But today I have Mahua who's joining us, and she's a writer, a podcaster, a brand specialist, something that I relate with because I write for fun. I also absolutely love to go on podcasts, and I have my own podcast called the Misbehave Podcast. So branding is something that I enjoy. I've worked with some really fun brands across my 12-year radio career. So I'm really excited about this conversation, and big hello to everybody who's watching this. This is My Boat Tree. It's a fantastic space in Koramangala, so wherever you are in the country, let me tell you, here's a space which you can come to for open conversations and workshops and lots of fun stuff. So if you're into food, culture, theatre, hospitality, just like fun things that you can come in and learn, My Boat Tree is the space for you. My Pod is an initiative where post the lockdown we're telling you, as artists, creators, entrepreneurs, let's get back and let's get back together. And here are some really fun and interesting entrepreneurs and creators who join us. Well, I have a special guest in just a couple of seconds. I have her sent her a request. Hello, hi, thanks so much for joining us. Good day.
Hi.
My Boat Tree.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
Happy Saturday. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Yeah. My whole face is covered with so many people who are commenting. So but you can see me, right?
I can see you perfectly well. I'm also going to take a seat. Welcome to my pod. Thanks so much for joining us. Good day. How have you been doing?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm so glad, and I'm also very insecure because I think everything is opening up, and I don't know if all of India is vaccinated yet. And that kind of really scares me because all of us want to step out, and we're all very tired of being at home. But yet the fear is still there. I don't know if everybody's yet, vaccinated. So let's see. I want to go out, and yet there's a guilt inside me. But yeah, let's see which one takes over, the guilt or the or the need to go out. So
I'm sure that you're going to, definitely come back stronger, just like everybody else. And slowly, people are getting double vaccinated, and things are getting better. I'm at the My Boat Tree. We've been having some fun events and workshops. I'm going to go off my filter so that there is absolutely no buffering. Thanks so much, Mahua, for joining us.
Thank you.
Writer, podcaster, brand specialist, so many things you do along with, voiceovers as well. If you had to put your entire work life in a couple of lines according to you, what would it be, and what's your shout out to everybody this beautiful Saturday on my pod?
So first and foremost, thank you so much for having me here today. Jaya is a very dear friend, and if Jaya says something, I will never say no to her. And now you and me have met, and we are good friends, Jane. And so if I were to put my work into a capsule, it would be very difficult for me because I have reinvented myself. I have rebooted all over again. When I first started my career, I joined I was a journalist when I was very young, and I wrote at that time. And then after that, the hours were so crazy that I just didn't know, in a city like Delhi, when you're working late and you're really a junior, you're the last in the pecking order when you get back home in that big van. I come from a very middle class background, and so sometimes to just get away from that, I used to catch like a bus and go. And my mother was very worried about this because it would be 11 o'clock till the pages wouldn't go. And, so it was very late. And I think that was a point when...
So sorry about my phone calling. That actually happens sometimes. Yes, go for it.
Yeah. So I kind of quit PR, quit journalism, and I joined public relations. And from there on, it was like it was very it was very organic because I think I'm a people's person. And also the thing is that I love writing. And so they promised me that in PR, I would be doing a lot of writing. But invariably in a hotel industry, it was just about, writing about the food. And then a lot of my colleagues were coming in. And then the entire attitude was different with me, They were suddenly behaving like, they were doing me a favor. And I don't know if I wanted to be in that space of all the time writing about food. But yes, during the journey in Mauritius in Delhi, I have worked with the stalwarts. You know, I worked with Victor Banerjee, I worked with R.K. Lakshman, I worked with, you know, the launch of the V channel that used to be MTV channel those days. And, you know, I mean, they were really the big guys. And, you know, coming from a middle class background, my eyes used to be goggled, but it was so inspirational. And it was fantastic because every time I spent time talking to them, I learned so much more. And then I didn't turn to look back because I was constantly getting offers because I'm extremely passionate as a person. And that becomes a big problem also, Jane. And yeah, so then I did PR, and I grew with PR, and I held very senior leadership positions in companies. And my last stint was with Grey Advertising. I used to be the national PR head, and then I was traveling like 4 times a week, and I was to be in the airport every day. And my child was very young at that time, you know, and he had a lot of allergies and all of that happening. And I was very guilty leaving him. So I quit and I sat at home. I fell ill. I was bedridden, Jane, for nearly for about 7 years, I was on steroids and stuff. And for nearly a year, I couldn't walk without a bandage. I'd almost lost an eye. And one arm that didn't go up. And that's been written about actually in She the People publication. And I just gave up everything about work. I never ever thought that I would ever be able to come back. And there was this huge hunger inside me, Jane, because I did not see myself doing absolutely nothing, you know, because I think the sense of validity, you know, for us as women, I think financially everybody needs to be independent because you never know when you are with a situation where, you know, you will have to fend for yourself, you know. So yeah, Jane, that illness finished, and then I was lost because technology was like booming everywhere. And I was not even on Facebook, you know, and I did not know, I shut myself out completely from everyone. And I was very happy looking after my child, traveled with him, met a lot of the mothers and shared recipes. But there was a hunger inside me, you know. And I couldn't articulate that hunger because everybody was so savvy with technology and people were talking PR. The whole world had changed. You know, it was so many Instagram influencers who would go out there and really sell your product. Okay. And also PR, unfortunately, as an industry had not grown at that time beyond the column centimeter in newspapers. And I didn't see myself doing that forever. And at a senior position, it was always about bringing in business. And then there's such a gap between what you're promising the client and what is finally delivered. So there was so much of inauthenticity in all of it that I was doing. It wasn't okay with my soul, you know. 2017, my son left, for London, and I went bonkers. You know, I went through depression at that time. I couldn't sleep. And, 7 months I was, I think, on sleeping pills and, you know, just didn't know what to do. But I remember that, you know, when my son wanted to apply for a college degree, internationally. And, you know, he and me are very, very close. So he kept pushing me and he kept telling me that, Ma, you have to do this writing. You have to do this writing. And I said, no chance, you know, go get somebody. I don't want to write. And he said, no, you have to write these 5 stories, okay, for me, because I will apply for them with your name. I said, that's the most, you know, you're cheating when you're doing that. He said, okay, just write 1 story and show me that you can write, okay? Because I used to tell him that, you know what, my friends used to keep my letters and stuff like that. And I did very well. I'm a distinction holder in English without studying. I used to not study. My mother was always worried about which boy I would be going out and dating. So I was not at all the studious type, but I loved reading. You know, I loved literature, and I was just naturally connected with literature and the characters, and it came very naturally to me, art and literature, you know. But, you know, when you're younger, you kind of don't even articulate who you are as a person, as a human being. At least during my times, I didn't know who I was, you know. I still don't know, but it's a very arrogant thing to say I know who I am. I don't know. I'm every day discovering. So 2017 when he left, I realized when I was sitting down and writing, you know, stories come naturally to me. And I think it's because of the experience of having had, you know, such a crazy life where my mother and me, I grew up a lot with my mother because my father had a traveling job and she was really one hell of a woman. You know, we left a very small little sleeping place called Shillong during insurgency, which is another topic some other day. But, so I started writing, and at that time I was very much with myself when I sat and wrote. You know, I can, this character can be a murderer. This character can be in love. This character can have many, lovers. And, you know, this character can be a spinster, this character. So it just came naturally for me to feel when I started writing, you know, about my protagonist. And then everything went off, and he went, and I said, "Oh my God, nobody would have give me a job." And then I think through a friend and a contact, I met the first Post editor, and he was very kind to me. He met me, and he said, I said, "You know what? I want to go back to journalism because I don't see myself doing inauthentic work anymore. I want to do authentic work. I want to do work that will impact, people around me. Even if it's one or it's 10, I want to impact people with my work. Okay, and my work has to be from an honest space." So from there, I kind of, met Venkat, and he sat and he said, "Okay, why don't you send a write up? What I can do is I'll push it forward for you, and we'll see if you can kind of, you can talk to the editor there." So I sent the write up, and I texted him once, but the whole thing went into such a loop, because they weren't coming back to me, and I had too much of pride to go and follow up. I wasn't young anymore, and you're in your 40s. You don't want to go and ask people, "Oh, am I going to get the job or not?" Because by then you would have achieved a certain part in your life. Then a friend of mine said, "Why don't you start something called a blog? And why don't you start writing on a blog?" And I realized, Jane, when I used to sit with that pen and that paper, I don't know from where the words came, from which space they came in from, but they just flowed through me,
So when you say that the words flowed when you started blogging, because I know what you're saying. I'm in my late 30s, and I realized that there's so many young people out there who are equally talented, if not more. And so the space, whether it comes to writing or podcasting or branding, which are your specialties, and journalism as well. And it was really beautiful to hear your whole story. I really want to know when you started reading your words onto blogs, and then you decided to take this upon yourself to probably have this shift in your 40s. Do you have a shout out to both young people, older people who are creators, to understand that the flow that you have in your journey is always going to keep flowing, and you will have to go with the times? Like, how did that happen, that shift and that story
So,
of
yeah, so I have to say,
shoulders?
so, I have to tell you this, that I just write only for myself. I don't know who's reading it. I do not know my followers. There are some people with whom I interact with my followers, and I talk to them. I don't know my downloads for my podcast. I don't know who's listening to me, because when I'm with the mic and I'm with the person and when I'm writing, it is just me and him. Whether this is going to get commodified, I'd love it to get commodified, not for myself, because I purely, and I repeat this, I'm working for the young people who are with me, to mentor them, to ensure that I leave behind a company that they can take forward. My goal is not for myself, and it never ever has been. I've never worked for money in my life ever, Jane. I've never worked in my life ever for someone to validate me, but my own self. And my sense of validation would be if the people who are working with me, they do well. And I stand by these words, forever.
That's amazing. I mean, to all the artists out there, I'm going to leave this here on my feed on my Bootry. We're also going to leave it on my page later. We're going to do a shorter session. But if that one shout out to creators who have lost faith and hope, especially because in these last 2 years, many artists did not get to perform, many writers did not get the right sort of opportunities. Many creators had to figure out what they could do digitally in order to survive. Because you've been through so much, because you've been bedridden, because you've been, pushed into corners maybe in different parts of your life,
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
absolutely.
what's your shout out to anybody who's watching this now or later as to how they pick the pieces and move on, especially for creators who are really going through difficult times? That's the whole idea of my pod, to honestly, to bring out the flavor of positivity and hope. And at My Buttery, there are constant events and workshops. I'm sure you know. We did give a shout out to Sangeeta, who says hi, by the way. But to every creator out there, to keep that mojo alive, to keep that energy alive, because not everybody is financially independent at this point in time. How would you give a personal story to say that it's all going to be okay?
So you know what, Jen? I'm sorry, but I don't know how to lie, and I'm very honest in whatever that I write. Okay, I will not lie and tell you that tomorrow there's going to be a magic wand and the money is going to come rolling. I have written about it that, you know what, आप यहाँ पे मेरे साथ सब्जी भाव के जैसे मत भाव करो, because I can't put a price to my writing. So please get lost. Okay, if you're going to come and tell me that, oh, can you reduce this price, and I'm going to, I mean, no, you know I'll do it for you for free. But if you're going to turn around and start negotiating price with me, I'm not going to do it. So people who are struggling, I really think that as a writer, I can talk from the writing space as an artist. You need to keep this as a hobby till it grows well, okay? Or you have something else supporting you, because I don't know if the world is changing. It's radical. See, I mean, you know what? They didn't give me a job as a journalist, but I figured out my own space of Moody Mo and I'm writing. So to me, digital is radical. Digital is one of the most radical spaces for you to go out there and talk. Like, nobody knew that I can podcast. Nobody knew that I can write, I was lost with this entire identity, Jane. So for me to give a shout out to all creative people, that if you're creative, you will continue to do that work. Nobody can take out the writing from me, because you know what? That is when I don't think I find peace in being a mother. I find peace in being, a girlfriend or a lover, or, you can say any of the roles that you can tell me, in peace in that space where, beyond writing. At writing, I'm one with myself. When I'm talking on my podcast, I'm one with myself, and there cannot be a greater joy than that for creative people, right? So
I absolutely understand that, because I will share a little story, and I'm sure people will relate. You will relate to, and I will give you a follow-up question there, because I really am inspired by the fact that you're saying a creator's creative spirit does not die. 12 years of radio, and I've been a radio job for so long. So for me, the studio space is like the uterus, it's like the womb. That's what I call it. I go there and I forget everything. And suddenly during this lockdown, there was a slashing down of employees, and a lot of people were fired across the network that I work for. And, it was a little awkward, because they wouldn't say that we fired you. They would say that you got to put in your papers. So, I mean, organizations go through structural changes. But the best part about my journey, and that's, something that reiterates what you're saying, is that spark continues. If you're a creator, if you like to talk, if you like people, that's what I like, right? Like how you like writing. I write for joy, like for fun, but I speak for a living. I love the hashtag paid to talk, right? And even before my term as a job got over, I got to come in and work at My Butchery, and I work with another two organizations called FemBuddy and The Hub. And it was so fantastic to see that if your spirit is aligned with your purpose, your creative spirit is never going to die. Bringing me to the next question, reinventions. This is really important for every creator,
Yeah,
and I would love for you to talk to us about how to reinvent yourself, how to upskill, how to upgrade. Mahua, I really want to know, because you've done it all through your life. My guest yesterday, who was Jalem, has done it. She went from, I really like what she went through. She worked with Harper's Bazaar, she worked with Sephora, she worked with Good Housekeeping. And finally, she opened her own line of beauty products and is a writer. And she said every time she had to move cities, every time she had to move jobs, she found a great inspiration in like evolving. So tell us your story of how you think everybody can evolve with times and upgrade and keep themselves up and going.
You know what? I don't think, again, like, I don't want to be arrogant and say that everybody needs to reinvent themselves. Some people are very comfortable in being who they are. There are, restless spirits like me. There are restless people like me who will always be restless with what you have. Yeah. So then to make a blanket statement and say that everybody needs to reinvent, no, who the hell am I to say that? But, for example, during this lockdown, I was writing my book and the whole thing went to a limbo. And Jaya knows me very well. I trusted somebody with some stuff and the whole thing went haywire. I was so depressed. So I didn't know what to do. And also the whole isolation, during this whole COVID, I felt isolated. I felt alone. I felt, my God, the walls are closing on me. And then your age also keeps like playing on your head saying that, like everybody is so young, especially in the digital space. And there you are, like pushing yourself and going in there in a space that you don't understand. But what I did was I started clicking photographs, from my phone, because my phone has a very good camera. And I have a girl in my house who's, who's from Assam. I love the Northeastern women. I think they're gorgeous and they've not yet really been out there on the forefront, okay, as models, because Naga women.
They usually have amazing voices. And the food that they make is insane, and they're pretty sexy and gorgeous and extremely endowed with the right sort of spirit. I know some women from the Northeast. In fact, I almost adopted a little sister, and she was adopted already by South Indian parents. I believe that they have an energy and life and goodwill, which I agree with. Go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, so so she's there in my house for many, many years now, and so I told her that "Tu karegi mere liye pose, Zarina." So she said, "Ha, Didi, zarur karungi." And it was like because she has naturally good hair and she eats. I am so envious of her because she eats copious amounts of rice and there's nothing. She looks the same every day for the last so many years. Like if I would eat like that, I'd bloat and I don't think my sofa would be able to fill me up. But yeah, I started clicking photographs and I started doing pictures, And the first day my camera was shaking and my hands were shaking. But I think it's, so I trained my head to not kind of get wallowed into that whole. No, I don't want to wallow in self pity and self space of saying no, things are not going out right, because you see, as a writer we don't get paid that well, and I've just begun, and I'm hoping that the podcast becomes so good that whoever, after, I'm sure by the end of another few months, because we're almost at a 20,000 download organically, and I haven't made an effort at that. I've just given my heart to every guest who's come onto the podcast. And I've spoken, I've had honesty, like I said, absolute authentic conversations. So, so we are all there because you see, validity in the sense of the real world, it's money. Your value is based on, and so obviously as creative people, we're all the time struggling. Because, creativity in India, or I don't know how it is internationally, but in India, they will never negotiate with a doctor if they've got a cold. They will never negotiate with an engineer, but they will negotiate with writers. They will negotiate with artists, and it's a shame.
That's that part, right? I mean, as artists and creators, because there isn't an organized, and I'm talking about content creators online today as well.
Oh, it's
so whether
really
you're writing or music or anything which qualifies as art in the country, even artists who paint and sculptors. I mean, there's so many indigenous artisans, who have lost out. I feel there is no organized way of saying that this is your pay grade, which is a huge problem because, like,
no, I don't think it's going to happen.
And I don't think it's that's sad, and which is why we need space for commentary and a huge revolution from people who provide a space to artists to try and see if there's some way that they can help these artists become become commercially appreciated. Do you think it's ever going to happen?
I don't know. I don't think I'm going to. No, I don't think I will live, Jane, to see that, because, and like I said, I don't think I'll live to see that. And it saddens me because I've written so much about the arts and crafts of India and the crafts people, because they can't speak English, and they are taken for a ride. I mean, let's just talk about the designers today. Now everybody's talking sustainability. Everyone's talking about, oh, I have a Rabari artist and I have a Bengal weaver. Why weren't you talking about it earlier? Why did you need COVID to get so conscious? Because you're selling yourself. Because there's such a huge talk about the media about becoming aware. So, and also designers, I mean, at the end of the day, when you put out a piece and you're selling it for $150,000, that's got Zardosi work. Think about the women and the people who are sitting there and doing that needlework. Are they going to get that kind of recognition? Are they going to get that kind of money? No, they won't. So, I really don't know. It's such a cat and mouse thing, because to me, I really like places, where, artisans also get a certain amount of that money, because, or else art is going to die in our country. And I've really traveled, into the interiors of West Bengal. I went with my son. I insisted on taking him to Fulia and where the weavers stay. It's abysmal. And yet they continue. I mean, that kind of courage is priceless, is unbelievable, that they continue in spite of that little light in their house that is probably, just dimming there, and they continue. So, I mean, we can have many Instagram lives, but I don't think anything's going to change that soon. We are a capitalist society, and I'm very much a capitalist, because I'm talking to you right now with my iPhone, and I don't know, but yes, in my own small way with my writing, I'm really hoping that my team who's working with me, they have a really good future. And, they can take this forward, because I don't see myself commodifying myself for the rest of my life. So, yeah, I mean, but
the kind of energy you put into your podcast, the kind of energy you're putting into authentically speaking about these subjects, featuring artists and, taking this entire movement together. I think it takes very small strides. So even if you may not see it in your lifetime or mine, I think young people are recognizing this. There are people who are hardcore dancers, painters, sculptors, graphic designers, and there's like tons of things that's happening in the art world that's opened up, and it's no longer just engineering and medicine like it used to be
No,
nowadays. So I feel there will be a movement, but I think smaller steps, smaller strides in this direction, kick-started by people like you and maybe people like me and spaces like My Poetry. I think that is the way
absolutely.
forward. So
Absolutely.
little steps is what we need to take. If you were to share with us a story of your life, like any one story that truly will inspire a creator to keep the hustle on no matter what, right? I think if I have to share a story of something that kept me going, it was during the Chennai floods, and I was on a station called Chennai Live 104, and the Chennai floods was abysmally destructive, and radio, to be honest, does not pay as much. Just like writing, I think most art forms that are beautiful and romantic, because it's dying and because of that whole old school charm that's there, the money is less. But I really think that's one of my high points of my career, because we got to actually help in rescue operations, because we as jocks in the station slept there for 12 to 13 days, mobilized resources to get help to people who were stranded. And I'm now in Bangalore. And COVID itself has been really tough, and I was on air throughout that period trying to see whatever we could do. But I remember the Chennai floods, and I remember how we slept there, woke up there, and kept people alive. We almost got a girl who is bipolar to talk to us from her landline and not commit suicide, because she was really in a suicidal sort of a mindset. So all I want to say is that we all learn as artists some things that keep us going. What's the thing that's kept you going? What's your story?
Like I said, that I'm not working for myself. I'm working for people around me. I have, people. My reason to work is to give a voice to the housewives of India. And I have been one, and I think they're the most unsung lot. And I was really happy when the Supreme Court came out with with a thing that said that they need to be paid, because we do equal amount of work. So my art will continue, because I want to leave a mark behind, not for myself but also for people who are voiceless. So my story, I'm soon coming up with a book actually by the end of this year. I'm at the end of my manuscript. So even in my book, it's stories about migrant women, because when I go into the parlor, I do talk, because my world was so narrowed down in those years when I wasn't working. And, so I used to sit and chat, with the parlor girl or people who came in here, and they all spoke. I mean, they are the brave hearts. You and me are no brave hearts. We are privileged people. We live in a space where I can go out there tomorrow and buy myself a cup of coffee, and narebazi I can do, saying that I'm talking about women empowerment. The empowered woman is the Darjeeling woman who has left her home, her language, and come into a city like Delhi or Bangalore, and she's doing massages for a living. And the man there is asking her whether she's going to give a sexual favor, and she knows how to navigate her way and come out. She's the woman for tomorrow. So my work will forever be for the people who don't have a voice. My work forever is going to, and even tomorrow, if my podcast is going to grow, and I repeat again, I don't work for myself at all, Jane. So that should be the motive for every artist. Of course, money matters. I agree with you. And you know what? If you are this passionate like the way I am, about your stuff, you need to have a regular job so that you don't go completely batty, and, you don't go mad, because of course money is needed, So for me, I'm at this space right now where I'm being able to do this because I am not, accountable for the running of my kitchen anymore. I was once upon a time, and I did it. I did my, I went and did PR work among a whole bunch of, male dominated advertising industry. And, the jokes are always about women, and, the jokes are all so sexist all the time. And also, if you happen to look after yourself well, you must be completely a dumbass. Also the things that women face, So yeah, my whole thing for, to keep myself for anybody, you have to have a larger goal. If your goal is just you will never grow. You will obviously get tired. How much can you do for yourself? You have to, yeah.
Like, somebody, like my gym trainer was telling me, he was actually telling me, don't do too much of cardio, right? And I'm like, why? He's like, when you, I'm just trying to give you a parallel here. When you pour water into a jug, the jug can only take so much water. So if you're going to overdo it beyond the point, the water is going to overflow. Similarly, so he was like, do cardio, weights, combination of strength, HIIT. So I guess even for yourself, you are a jug which can only be filled so much. At
Yeah.
one point, you will decide in your life that
Yeah.
your purpose is much
You
larger than
have to
this,
pour.
and you have to pour into other jugs, right?
Absolutely.
Which is exactly what you
Absolutely.
do. I love the
Exactly.
fact that you've taken that upon yourself, especially for the women, like you said, who don't have that energy yet to say that they're completely self-sufficient. Like my maid was talking to me the other day about how her husband still, sometimes is on brown sugar, comes home and is very aggressive with her. And in spite of her going to 7, 8 houses and still making like around 40, 45K for herself and for her family and her 2 kids, she still has to manage a husband who's an addict. So, I mean, I'm saying that, realistically speaking, women empowerment is about every woman in this country coming back. And I love the fact that you've taken that upon yourself, just in your own way, through your podcast,
It's
through
my
your
very
writing.
small way.
But the small efforts that you're doing can encourage so many more artists out
Yeah.
there to sort of at least get their work to mean a little bit more for the people who really need it, right?
Yeah, I think so. So I mean, that's what we were talking about, purpose. And if the purpose is, the purpose has to be much larger than who we are as human beings, just in our own little four walls that we live in. So the minute you get into that space, I think that's when it works, or else I mean, I'll just go tired. My motivation are my people. My motivation are are the people who work with me. They are my motivation. I cannot fail for them. I can fail for myself, but not for them. I have to
I love
ensure
it.
that they do well. Yeah.
I love it. I'm going to do this thing which is called top 10 questions. Very quick questions. Answers have to be
Sure.
brief to the point. It's a rapid fire.
I'll try and be honest. Yeah,
Right.
sure, ask me.
The first time as an artist, you got a paycheck in your hand that was substantial and enough and that made you smile. When was that?
That was in 2019 when I worked with, 2019 when I've worked with a few brands. I've done the entire branding work, and yes, it was a very substantial amount. And whatever I got, I never keep any money for myself ever at all from my writing, because I just think that I'll just lose this entire part. So I just ensure that it's paid through the salaries, or it's paid to the people who've been working with me for the last so many years at home, or I go out there and I give it out in charity, but I don't keep any money for myself. No, I don't.
So as an artist, how do you make sure that your finances are sorted? Because this could help other artists out there who are trying to be relevant with respect to their work, but also financially stable. How do you do it?
So I don't think you can be financially stable as an artist. I mean, you'll have to have a side job, that's going to be well paying, unless you're totally established. But if you have that whole hunger and that calling inside you, we have a free space called the digital space. Please go out there, please create, please ensure that you collaborate, please ensure that you do all the things that the algorithms need you to do. And don't get caught up with the fact, because I was very shy of being on social media. I just thought I would be viewed as an absolute idiot. And, I was apologetic all the time. Oh, you know what? They said, oh, I saw you on Instagram, you again. So I'm still reaching in that space where I say, okay, I am a content writer. I do content and I am going to be here. So yeah, I mean, like I said, the digital is so radical. Everybody's given a space, and it's fantastic. We can all try and collaborate now. There's Clubhouse that I've joined now, and I've met the most amazing people there, because everybody wants to help you. Everybody wants to help you. And I think there are more good people than there are bad people. We tend to all the time concentrate on the bad experiences, and we forget, like, if there are 10 things, we have 7 good people and there are probably just few bad people. But as human beings, we only want to concentrate on those bad people, and make that the biggest story of our lives. So that, I think, should change, because as artists, we can really dwell on that a lot.
Question number 3, what does Mahu do for skincare? Because his skin is glowing, girl. Is it the art? Is it the love for the people? Is it a good skincare regimen? What is it?
I don't know if I have good skin, but yes, I've inherited that from my father. And I do drink water. And I think it's just been I've inherited this kind of good skin. And I do think that you need to have very good, you need to not worry too much about it. And it's okay. I mean, what, good skin, bad skin, my pen should write and my voice should speak, and it's okay. I mean, there's no great shakes about being nice looking or having good skin if you're a shit person. So it doesn't matter to me.
I love that. I love that. I mean, it is
Yeah.
about your work and it's about what you've done. I think that's where the glow and the happiness comes from. Question number 4, your podcast handle. If you had to give us your podcast in just one line, for people to go follow it on Spotify or wherever, what would it be? What would that line be?
It,
What is the handle?
So the podcast is called Moody Mo Awaz, which is Oodymo, and Awaz is spelled with a double A. I'm not hugely like I don't have this huge name. I had to find a name and stuff like that. Everybody, my son used to say, "Oh, you're so moody all the time," and I thought Mohua was so taken. Like there were so many Mohuas. So I thought, okay, maybe my personality is moody. Now I know he was just lying because he was trying to get away from his studies and stuff. So I just decided to call myself moody. I feel sorry about it. I think I should have just been Mohua. But yeah, it's Moody Mo Awaz. Awaz because like I said that, it is about the voices of people who need to be heard, who need to be there. And so it's called Moody Mo Awaz. And I think double A may be a problem for people. But yes, it's double A as Awaz.
Question number 5 is on a beautiful Saturday like this, what is it that are your plans for the weekend? And what are your biggest plans for 2021 that you're really excited about? Just a little teaser so people can follow you and be inspired by you.
So yeah, for me on weekends, Sundays, I love being on my own. I love watching cinema. I used to read a lot. I feel horrible about the fact that I read less nowadays. I definitely eat really a good Bengali meal because that's my soul food. On Sundays, I love to have my rice. On Saturdays, I like to meet my friends, but I think writing and this whole, during COVID, we've all been so isolated. I'm slowly now beginning to step out. But yeah, I love to meet my friends. I love to cook. I love to entertain friends. I love to entertain my friends. And I have friends from school and college and new friends that I've made. And it's amazing to have people around you because you know what, I think self-love is also about giving love to others. So yeah, I like to fool around and be a monkey on weekends. And yes, and 2021 goal, I would want the podcast to do really well so that, like I said, my team who's believed in me, they had faith in me when I was nothing. They came in and joined that, when I were to go out of all of this, they have to be left with something substantial. So it has to be, the business has to be in such a way that somebody else can take over. It cannot just be me. So I'm working towards that so that this podcast has more people who can come in and give their voice along with me. So that if I'm out, somebody else can take over and take that forward. Yeah, that's my big goal. And my book. And my book, yes.
You have the book. I have 5 more questions. I'm going to leave them on my page on Jane_Jayakumar. So the ones who are watching this, please come in and catch another 10 minutes or 15 minutes with Mahbooba on my page. Mahbooba, your final shout out to My Buttery because you work with Jaya Benita and Sangeeta and you've been to the space. What's your shout out to everybody about this space and whatever initiatives for the community, for artists and entrepreneurs that they are constantly trying to endeavor to do in order to get the whole community back? What's your final shout out?
Just and your friend.
My friend Rita Tarana joins. Hi Rita, hopefully you're having a good weekend. This is Mahua and everybody else is watching this, the final bit of this session. She's a podcaster, a writer, a brand consultant. Thanks for joining us. Yes, your final shout out. Go ahead.
Just remain passionate. Just know that in spite of every medicine that the doctors took out, you needed the artists for the poetry and those films and the music that you listened to keep yourself sane. So the world needs dreamers like us. So please continue to dream and continue to just follow what you love. And I think, it'll eventually make sense to you and your skin will glow, your weight will go and, the world will be a good place. So, yeah.
The world is a better place for people like you. On behalf of My Buttery, I'm signing off for today. This is the most, fun space to come to and to hang out at. I love the fact that it's so open and there is just such bright light coming right in. Looking forward to having you, Mahua, sometime and doing a fun workshop. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to see you on my page in another 3 minutes. All right? See ya.
Okay, I have to know. See you. Thank you so much.
See ya. Bye-bye.